All right, listeners, I'm excited to kick off our third season's very first episode by shining a light on our Jan-Feb issue and the Feel Good feature that highlights a special look at good neighbors doing great things for and in our region. I'm happy to introduce you to Sunni Purviance, the heart behind I Heart Southeast, a grassroots movement that's brought connection, positivity, and pride to Southeast Roanoke. She also helped start the Roanoke Plawkers, a group that hits multiple levels of impact, getting people outside and active, building friendships, and improving the neighborhood through weekly cleanups. It's a perfect example of how small actions can have a big ripple effect in a community. Sunni, welcome to the podcast. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Thrilled to talk about what you're doing. I've been obsessed with the Plawkers for years now at this point, I guess, which is hard to believe. Feel like you just kicked it off.
It's true.
Yeah. So let's start with I Heart Southeast first. I think it's really important to talk about what you're doing, not just for the neighborhood, but how that affects the region, because it really does. I know that kind of sounds like overwhelming when you put it that way.
A little bit.
But let's walk through what I Heart Southeast is about. So what kind of things you're doing for the community right there in your neighborhood?
All right. I Heart Southeast is all about spreading love in and for Southeast Roanoke.
You wore the perfect sweater for
it. So we want to highlight all of the good people and places and activities that are happening in Southeast, and we want to help organize some of those too. So we help to get rally volunteers for planting trees and painting murals, art projects, and our favorite thing, I think, or my favorite thing to do, plocking, and that is picking up litter while taking a walk in the neighborhood.
That's such an easy thing. Like, people see that, they're like, oh, what an easy, but like, you're really hitting a lot of levels here on community, because it's not just about picking up trash and making your community better and prettier, but you're introducing friends, you're introducing networking connections, you're bringing people together, and you're also getting outside and getting active, which is nice for January's New Year's resolutions.
Yes, all of those things, except that we don't do a lot of plocking in January, because I'm kind of a baby and just want to stick to like March to October is our regular plocking season. But
it just makes me want to plock more. I don't want to plock in snow, but yeah, I get you.
It's all covered up right now anyway, can't see it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yes, all of those things are wonderful, and I like to say a lot of times when I do my little speech for new Plawkers that it's really not about picking up the most trash. The key part for me is the social aspect, just getting neighbors together to connect to each other, take a walk, get that exercise, and really explore the neighborhood on foot. I think that's an important way to connect to the neighborhood.
That's a good point. So over COVID, my husband and I would walk through the neighborhood because you couldn't walk on the Greenway at that point, which I'm sure was super kind of annoying for you. Yeah. But you're right. It really helped us feel, I know this street and I know these houses, and we wave at these neighbors all the time. Like, it really did make us feel involved in a time where, you're not really hanging out with people at that point.
Exactly.
I also like that it's really people of all ages. You don't, some people might bring their kids or their teens and learning, how to do that, but it's also for anybody, of an older status too, who maybe just wants to get out of the house and make some new friends.
And we do have our friend Spence, who is a super plocker. He's there all the time, and I'll give him a hard time. I'll say, Spence, you passed right by that piece of trash. And he says, I'm not here to pick up trash. I'm here to socialize. And so we love that. And so not everybody has to pick up trash. Please, come bring your child, push them in a stroller. Don't feel like you have to do anything except just be there. And I think that just having that group of people too walking down the street looking like they're picking up trash, which we are doing, of course, but shows that there's a whole lot of people that care about the neighborhood. So
I think that's especially bright. I was telling you before we started the segment that occasionally when we're taking walks and I see your group on the other side of the street, I'm shouting, thank you, across the street. Sorry in advance for that.
We do like that.
But I hope people are honking and really thanking you, because that's a thankless job. You're not doing it because, you're going to get paid or thanked for it. You're doing it because you enjoy it and to get out and get with those people you spend time with.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So going back to Southeast Roanoke real quick, I wanted to learn more about why you wanted to start this endeavor. What was it, the moment or an experience or something that you heard that made you think, this is something Southeast Roanoke really needs. We need to come together as a community and do X, Y, Z.
As far as I Heart Southeast goes, long story short, I'm not from the area, and I was planning a move to Southeast and getting a lot of negative feedback, oh, you don't want to go there.
Yeah, the bad rap.
Yeah, and so I'm stubborn. I did it anyway, and I lived in a great house, and I had great neighbors, and was just having a really positive experience. So receiving some of that negative feedback in person and a lot of times on social media. And that was from people outside of the neighborhood, which is most frustrating.
Isn't that funny?
But then, well, maybe not most frustrating, because people inside the neighborhood too, I'm like, this is your home. So I think that bullying kind of aspect just made me frustrated, and like I love Southeast, so I just felt that that was an appropriate message to put out and hope that people grasped onto, and they did.
I was about to say, I think it's worked. I mean,
Yes.
you've got people volunteering and, participating in things. What are some events or like things that you've done in the community around iHeart Southeast?
We have had festivals, of course, and picking up the trash is, like I said, our biggest thing. We worked with Trees Roanoke and the tree stewards to plant trees.
I love the tree stewards too.
Me too.
Everything's...
Lots of public art has popped up. I think I counted up last night maybe 16 murals, and we have a statue.
By local artists right here. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, that's what's amazing.
It's so fun, and a lot of those have been opportunities for neighbors to participate with the artists, and so that's great. So thanks to the Arts Commission and Doug Jackson
Our
for
favorite man in
helping
town.
facilitate a lot of that. We love those folks. So lots of beautification projects, but also just want neighbors to just meet and get to know each other.
Right. And I hope that that has sort of curtailed some of the negativity that you might have, heard originally when you first moved there. Like now people are thinking, gosh, I didn't even realize that this was right here in my backyard, or I didn't realize this many great people were next door to me, I think that's pretty telling.
Thank you. It's been neat to see. I feel like the perception's changing a little bit, and more people coming into Southeast, even city departments and the Boy Scouts and the middle school groups that are participating. So there's just a big spread of folks that are wanting to participate and spend more time in Southeast, so that is a good thing.
I think that's awesome. So let's say I'm new to the area. I don't know where to live. I'm looking at Southeast. What are you going to tell me? Like, what would you tell me now? You should live here. Here's why.
Because we have a lot of fun there, and I think if you want to get involved, the more you put in, the more you get out. And those connections, the neighborly connections, are there. We just have a fun time.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. No, I mean, I think that's great. There's nothing better that you can say than good neighbors doing good things with each other.
Is work to be done there. So if
Sure.
you're the type of person that wants to get involved, there's plenty of things to do.
Yeah, well, and that's why I love Plawkers too. So you guys, I know we're kind of bebopping, but like I love that Plawkers, you go in your own neighborhood, but you're also in other neighborhoods too.
Yes.
And I think that you're setting an example so that even if a neighborhood may be across town and unable to join your Plawkers group, they could start their own. There was no reason they couldn't do that.
Yes.
I mean, you were just sharing something on, I think it was social media. One of your Plawkers was down like in another country or another state doing her Plawking thing. And I was
Yes.
like, man, she's taking that worldwide. That's awesome.
She did. She started a group in Hatteras, and now she's in Virgin Islands and starting a group there.
I
That's
mean,
pretty neat.
but like what a ripple effect that you've had
Yes.
to be able to start that and see people like going out, and even if they're not here anymore, going out into their own new neighborhoods and starting something cool. Do you, maybe this is sort of like on the spot, but if there's a moment or a story from iHeart Southeast, an event or something that maybe really makes you think this is what it is, this is what it's about and why I love doing this.
I mean, every Tuesday, whenever we have a Plock, I get there first, and I never know who's going to show up.
And it might be 2 people, it might be
And
20.
Sometimes we did Plock all through COVID, and sometimes it was a couple of people,
Yeah.
but people showed up every time. And so now we're really rocking, and I'll be waiting, and cars will start rolling in, and next thing you know, we have 25 or 30 people there, and that's just to take a very short, maybe less than a mile, 45-minute walks. Is all
You're not
we
dragging
do.
them up McPhee Knob, I mean.
Well, we have Plocked Mill Mountain, and that's a whole other thing.
That's a whole nother challenge.
Extreme blocking. But just for people just to keep showing up so consistently and in such great numbers, I think that that's special every time.
Yeah, and this isn't something that you have to turn people away from.
Right.
There's no capacity people limit on this. I mean, I think that's cool. Talk to me about extreme blocking real quick. What?
There's a couple of times
You guys are
before the Blue Ridge Marathon, we have taken on the mountain. We
Oh my
wanted to
gosh.
make sure it was sparkly clean before thousands of people.
You hear that, Blue Ridge Marathoners? Thank your Plockers.
Well, so funny. We actually have a group of Plockers that are doing the 10K this year.
Okay,
so we're
cool.
going to give that a go.
Are you actually running it, or are you
No,
picking up
we're
trash along the
going
way?
to take our usual approach, the slow, and we're going to pick up a little bit of trash. Hopefully not.
That's the only way I
but
want to run a
we
marathon.
will be available to pick up trash.
Yeah, I'm not what I'd call a marathoner, so I like your approach much better. That's a little more laid back and my
Yes,
style.
you're welcome to join us.
Thank you. And we're talking about. I know again, it's kind of hard to pull an example out of thin air, but in terms of you making a difference in the lives of your neighbors, if there's been, maybe a specific, again, you're talking about the community coming together, but how does it make you feel, especially knowing you're not from here? I think that's an especially like little asterisk note that, you came here from another place and decided to make a mark, not necessarily as a thanks or because you felt that you needed to do that, but because you saw a gap and you wanted to fill that gap. And how does it feel to see when people come together now without you, shoving them into it too?
Right. Yes, there's no pressure to join, but everybody is always welcome. It's just fun. I'm doing it because it's activities that I think are fun, and I like being social, so I want people to come along with me. And so that's how it kind of got started. Now it's become this whole thing where other people are doing activities and I get to go to their activities. And I love that.
Well, and you've probably met a lot of really good friends and a lot of good people, again, off the top of your head. But, has there been something that maybe a fellow Plocker has dragged you to or encouraged you to try that you might not have tried outside of your interests? I know, that's a hard one. Like, I don't know, have you ever, axe throwing,
No, but I will say that the Plockers, have become very close friends. There's a solid group that shows up every time, and so they're organizing activities outside of Plocking. Our friend Cameron just invited everybody to go to Burger Monday at Martin's. So I think that there was maybe 18 Plockers there.
Oh, I'm sure Jason didn't mind that.
Right. So, and Christmas parties and, just other activities outside of our weekly walks that people are getting together to
See,
do.
that's like a whole fourth level. Like, again, getting outside, meeting people, being active, socializing. But now you get to stretch your limits of what you thought you might do. Like, I never thought I'd go whatever, and now you get to do it because you've met this group of people who really encourage you to try it.
And I never thought I would be doing some of these things with these people. Like, these people have come together over trash bags and just... It's neat to see.
Yeah, and again, with the sort of the different age levels and interests, like you really have a wide variety.
It is.
I mean, I love that there's a lot of overlap in interests where you're going to learn something about somebody that you might never encounter otherwise in town.
Exactly.
I mean, why else would you, Yes. I think that's awesome.
Fun.
So one of the things, again, going back to Plockers, one of the things that you guys do, the socks. You mentioned the socks with Spencer. Let's talk about this because there's like an award or some sort of funny little thing that you guys have in the group.
Yes, we do give out awards for every 100th sock, and that award is a pair of socks. Yeah, clean, fresh.
I think that's appropriate.
So it's interesting, and it's just a quirky thing that we realized we were picking up a lot of, and socks rhymes with plocks, so it rolled. And now I literally have probably 1,000+ pictures of people holding socks in my
many
phone,
of them, yeah.
And people send them to me from all over. Our friend Diane that started the Hatteras in the Virgin Islands, she sends me pictures from there, of her holding socks.
You think that's like your most common picked up trash piece?
Well, it's just the one. No, probably not.
Because I have a lot of follow up about that. Anyway, that's a whole nother thing.
There's a lot of other trash that we pick up, but that's just the one that is fun to document.
Well, it's hysterical every time I see it. And then we have a photo of you in the issue and you're holding up a little trophy, and my editor-in-chief was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "That's for socks. That's for picking up things." I know exactly what that is because of the social media. So you've done a good job on your branding because I know instantly what that is. So let's talk about, again, you're not from the area. Where'd you come from originally?
Well, my dad was in the Navy, so that's a hard question all the time. I was born in Florida, and we moved around a lot. But Roanoke, and specifically Southeast, is the first place that I, on my own, picked to live. And so I feel like maybe that gives me a little more,
ownership
claim to it. Yeah.
What made you decide to, not necessarily Southeast, but what made you decide to move to Roanoke? Was it you just looking around for a great place to live or a job?
Well, I was in Salem. Gotcha. From Virginia Beach, so like I said, all over, and I was spending a lot of time in Roanoke, so I was like, I may as well just move there. And I did, and it's been great. I love it so much. That was, I think, 2013 that I moved to Southeast.
Yeah.
And it's the longest place I've ever lived anywhere.
Well, me too. Yeah. When we moved here from Nashville, it was almost 15 years ago. And it's like, man, I've never lived in one place for so long now that it's prideful. It's really fun. Well, talking about that, let's talk about what you love about the area and the region, not just in your own neighborhood, but thinking about your favorite things or, special little things that are here in this area that you love. Any you can give a shout out. You can talk about what you love. Maybe it's not hiking up McAfee Knob running. It's, picking trash up along the way.
Well, I think the thing that I love most about the area, I guess, is just obviously the people. And
Yeah.
I know people say that all the time, but as I said, moving around so much, I never had the opportunity to like really build these long-lasting
Yeah.
relationships. So having this like small town feel where anywhere you go, you see a friendly face and can just catch up with someone, or like, oh, I've had this idea I've been wanting to talk to you about. So I love that opportunity to just connect everywhere we go. And there's so many great events that people are hosting and that the region hosts, and I just like to be out there getting involved. And,
there's a lot of opportunity. You sound like an
hanging out with
extrovert.
friends. Well, it's funny. I mean, I am, but but I also am really shy when it comes to interviews.
You're doing great. That's good. No, but so in our JanFeb issue, for the last 5 years, this is the 6th year we've done 40 under 40. And so it's funny because I know everybody always says the people are so friendly. Hand to God. I've now interviewed 240 people for 40 under 40, and every single one of them talks about the community and the people in it. I mean, I'm not joking, listeners. I'm not exaggerating. That is 240 people talking about the good people in our region, and how if you have an idea, you know exactly who to go to either help or find the right person to help you. And I think that's something really special. You're not going to get that in a big city or where things feel spread out. If you have an idea and you want to implement it, it's pretty easy to do here, quite frankly.
And even at the level of accessing like our city council and our mayor.
No kidding.
Like,
I got joke out on speed dial. Like, my mom's like, "How are you friends with the mayor?" That is the fanciest thing I've ever heard. And I was like, I don't know. That's just who we are as a community. Like everybody's cool, man.
Love it.
I do too. And so in thinking about anybody, again, jumping off of this whole idea of I have an idea, how do I do that? For anybody listening who's been inspired by your story, what might be the best way for them to get involved or even start something similar in their own neighborhood? What is the process?
Anybody can do the plocking anywhere. Yeah. That's the easiest thing. And especially with us, like just show up. You don't need to bring anything. You don't need to register. I
don't need a 10 points elevator pitch about who I am as a person.
We want you. We'll take you. We love meeting new people. And so anything like that, especially that, you can get free supplies from Clean Valley Council, gloves and bags and all of that. So if you wanted to get that going in your neighborhood,
actually, that's a great point. Do you mind kind of giving them a little bit of a shout out? Because I didn't know that. I didn't know that you had, availability like that.
You can go to Clean Valley Council's website and sign up for an anytime cleanup and put your information in, how much supplies you want, and they'll leave it out for you to come pick up anytime. That's how easy Roanoke makes it.
I had no idea. Like, that's so cool that, like, again, you had an idea and I'm going to do it. Like, let's just go.
Great supporters for the Plockers, too. They give us all of the bags that we use. And so.
Yeah, I love that.
And there's no cost for us.
I mean, I think that's awesome. And then you've mentioned the Roanoke Arts Commission with, events and getting together and murals in your neighborhood. You've obviously got local artists, coming in and doing the artwork. You've talked about 16 murals and a statue, and then you're talking, there's just so many levels of this that are just such a wonderful way to sort of interact with your neighbors. Like, how is that not a feel good? Like, oh my goodness.
It's neat to be able to drive through the neighborhood and see like these pops of color. Yeah. Or have a memory on a street that we picked up, 12 socks or something, So it's neat to connect to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
In that way.
What's next for you for the Plockers? What do you think? Like, is this going to continue growing? Do you want to, nationwide Plockers? Like, what's the new thing?
I think we'll just continue. I don't know. It's been so organic as it's
still January. You got time for New Year's.
I'm like already prepping the March calendar. So yes, we will be back at it in March. Every Tuesday in Southeast, and we have plocking in South Roanoke, Northwest, Grandin. It's all over, so come and find us.
I mean, I think that's just so fantastic. And so, quick bonus question, just because I ask all our guests this, but, you talked about, sort of where you love to go in our region, talking about going, eating, playing. What are you personally doing when you're not plocking and, beautifying our neighborhoods?
Yes, I am enjoying a lot of times on the streets with the Plockers, but also with my running friends with Runabout Sports. Our training group. So I get to be the route maker a lot of times, and so nobody knows the neighborhoods better than you now. I love the greenways so much. It's a great resource, but our city streets are great too. So planning routes throughout the streets and having people on the run say, "Oh, I've never been here before." I love that.
See, you're even introducing people to neighborhoods they've never been in. Sunny, you're a rock star.
A fun spot right now is Riverdale to run through.
Sure,
and
I bet
what's changing in there,
and every day's like new, right? Because there's going to be something different.
And there's dinosaurs in there. If you didn't know that,
that's awesome. I love it. And so, eating, where are you going to eat these days besides burgers at Martin's on Mondays with your group?
All right. Well, burgers at Jack Brown's. That's the spot.
That's another good one.
The go-to, tried and true date night spot for me and my husband.
That's a good one. Yes. I like it. Perfect. Well, anything else you want to share? And we're going to share at the website and all that. I Heart Southeast, literally IHEARTSE.org.
Yes.
Again, we'll share that on our website and with the podcast. But anything else you want to give a shout out to, the people, places, groups?
Everybody that shows up in Southeast and beyond for Plawking. It's amazing. We actually are starting a 501c3 for I Heart Southeast very soon. And so the neighbors that have come out for that, Jessica Mulhuron, that's made our newsletter and our website amazing.
Yeah, it's like a brand new fancy website too.
Yes,
it's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Love it.
I love all
She
the
did a great
color and
job.
beautiful pictures. She's doing great.
Yeah.
So excited for that step with the I Heart Southeast.
Yeah.
Just having so many people that are excited to move it forward.
Yeah, and a whole sock plot gallery, I suppose, on one part of your website, I guess.
We need to make a coffee table book. That should be on our to-do list for sure.
Well, your local publisher will help you with that for sure. Thank you so much, Sunni, for being on the show today. It's been such a pleasure to watch the Plawkers for so long and to be able to highlight you and our issue. JanFeb issue is our newcomers visitors guide. It's for locals too, and I think that a lot of readers and listeners are going to learn something new and wonderful about all the work that you're doing. So thank you
very much.
Thank you for your heart on your sweater sleeves, in your chest, all that. Thank you again so much to Sunni Purviance for joining us, sharing her incredible work with I Heart Southeast and the Plawkers. It is so inspiring to see how a little bit of love and effort can bring a community together in such meaningful ways. Again, if you'd like to learn more about I Heart Southeast or get involved with the Plawkers group, you can check out iheartsoutheast.org. That's IHEARTSE.org. We'll put it on the website for you. And as Sunni reminded us today, it doesn't take much to make a difference. Sometimes it truly is as simple as showing up. This kicks off season 3 of From Print to Podcast, and we're excited to bring you a new episode every month. Don't forget, you can discover more stories about amazing neighbors improving our community, meet our 40 under 40 class of 2025, explore the flavors of Jaybird Tavern, and so much more in the JanFeb issue of the Roanoker. Grab your copy on newsstands now, subscribe today, or head over to theroanoker.com to read more. Thanks again for tuning in to From Print to Podcast, where print comes to life one great story at a time.